Hey everyone, it's Tamika. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys about nonverbal communications within the Italian culture. Um, the first form of nonverbal communications I'm going to be telling you guys about is gestures. So as we all know, Italians love to talk with their hands during conversation. Um, and they have different gestures that they actually use, which I find pretty funny. One of the most common gestures is to pull down an eyelid to acknowledge somebody's cleverness. Another gesture is to bring the hand away from the nose as if you are making it longer, which symbolizes calling somebody a liar. The way I think about it is Pinocchio, he lies, his nose grows. Another form is eye contact. It is very, very important to make eye contact when speaking to an Italian, or if you're Italian speaking to another Italian. They actually consider it very rude and disrespectful when you do not maintain eye contact um, when you're talking. Another big thing, which I didn't think would be considered nonverbal communication, is your posture. Italians believe that posture is a very important attribute to have. They have different sorts of postures depending on the person. So, if talking to a friend or a family member, their posture is very casual and relaxed. But when in the presence of like a colleague or an employer, um, you are always to maintain a professional posture, which is very important. Another thing that I didn't really realize would be nonverbal communication is greetings. Um, they, as you know, Italians, when they greet somebody, they give kiss them on the cheeks, both sides. Um, but they also do some pretty other odd sorts of greetings. When being introduced to someone of the opposite gender for the first time, the man will actually bow to the woman while waiting for her to offer her hand to him. Um, and then when they are greeting somebody of the opposite gender, not for the first time, they will shake hands. And you will also see in Italy, friends of the same gender will often walk arm in arm in public to show affection, to show you care. And the other kind of nonverbal communication is haptics, which is touch. Um, in Italy, people are very comfortable with each other and being around each other. So, along with handshakes, kissing on the cheeks, uh, they have no problem touching like somebody on the shoulder when they're speaking, um, or leaning in closer when they're listening to something that's interesting to them. Um, More often than not, if an Italian person is trying to convince someone of something, they will actually brush against that person's shoulder or arm to make that person feel more comfortable, which kind of sucks them into believing whatever they're trying to pass off. Another big thing for nonverbal communications is facial expressions, which you will find no matter what culture you're in, no matter what country you're in, facial expressions are like the number one form of nonverbal communications. And like I said before, they're very enthusiastic and they love making facial expressions when speaking. And they will use facial expressions to make a story more animated and more fun and more intriguing. And this makes the person listening a lot more engaged and interested in the story. And they'll also mix facial expressions with hand gestures, and putting those two together, it's just like a bomb goes off. And it's this amazing, intriguing, like, ugh, gut wrenching story that they're listening to. Um, Another big thing with nonverbal communications is proxemics, and which is the space between a person. Italians are very friendly people. I think we all pretty much know that. And so space for them is different than space for us. So um, they don't mind people being in their bubbles as if Americans, if you kind of step into somebody's comfort zone, it's like offending, it's wrong, it's uncomfortable. But for them, it's just this normal thing that they do. And in my research, I found that the usual distance of a couple in an intimate relationship is 18 inches or less. And the right amount of personal space for just anybody in general is about 1.5 to 4 feet, which I found really interesting. Um, Also, age also makes no difference in space between people. Um, when looking into like into the business world, it's very polite to stand the proper personal space, which is at 1.5 to 4 feet I was telling you about. When speaking with somebody who's higher up than you. However, Italians, they like working with people they trust, so they do try and build strong relationships, which takes away that space barrier in a way. Um, I really find this kind of stuff interesting. It's important to know about nonverbal communications, not only within other or cultures, but within like your own culture and stuff like that. Um, and it's not only like a really good learning experience, but it's also a good technique to have when, you know, coming face to face with confrontation or trying to console somebody who's upset. Um, and I think that's really important, and I think that a lot of people should know how to read nonverbal communications, because there's just so much you can learn with it, and it really is such an interesting topic, and it's not something that's very talked about. Um, what was I saying? Yeah, it's not something that's like talked about or really taught about in schools. I know when I was in high school, it's not something we learned. I took an AP Psych class, and we didn't really talk about nonverbal communications, even though the class was about communicating and learning about people or whatever. So yes, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please, 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 if you do have any questions, please ask. I will try and answer them to the best of my abilities. I do have a little bit more background knowledge of nonverbal communications, because it is a topic I'm very interested in and intrigued in, and it's a topic I can sit down and study for hours upon hours because I just love it so much. So if you have any questions, please ask. If you guys know anything about nonverbal communications and want to share, please do, because like I said, even though it's a topic that I absolutely love, I'm sure I don't know everything about it. So if you guys have anything that you do know, please share, because this is one of my favorite topics to learn about, talk about. Um, and I would really love to learn new things that I didn't know before. So please, please ask me questions, give me advice, teach me things. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye.